Hi, I'm Sue, and today I'm going to chat with you about the benefits of breastfeeding. So let's start off with the benefits for mom. So benefit number one, bonding. So did you know that only 25% of new mums are going to feel this instant rush of love for their new baby as soon as their baby is placed skin to skin? The other 75% are going to fall in love with their little babies over the coming hours, days, weeks, and months. So spending quality time with baby, all those snuggles, all those feeds, all that skin to skin is really going to help build that bond and help us, on our journey as we're falling in love with our little newborn. Another benefit is that breastfeeding helps us return to our pre-pregnant body more quickly. So when we breastfeed, our body produces a hormone called oxytocin. And you might remember from your labor and birth class that oxytocin makes contractions happen. So when you breastfeed, the oxytocin that's being produced is encouraging your womb to contract back down to its pre-pregnant size a little bit more quickly. So breastfeeding does help your womb go back to its pre-pregnant state just a little bit quicker than perhaps if you weren't breastfeeding. Weight loss. So it is a known fact that breastfeeding women do lose their pregnancy fat stores just a little bit quicker than women who aren't breastfeeding postpartum. Breastfeeding saves you money, so they reckon it costs about €1,000 a year to formula feed a baby. So I suppose if we turn that on its head, we're saving €1,000 a year by breastfeeding. And it reduces the risk of breast and ovarian cancer. So for every 1 year that we breastfeed, we reduce our risk of breast cancer by 4%. So for example, if you breastfed one baby for 1 year and your second baby for 1 year, that would be a reduction of risk of 8%, so almost 10%. If you were to breastfeed one baby for 2 years, same result, so a reduction in risk of 8%, so 4% for every year of breastfeeding. So there are also lots of benefits of breastfeeding for baby. So first up, bonding. So all that breastfeeding, all that one-to-one time with you really allows baby to get to know you. So did you know that your baby in the first month can only really see about 10 to 12 inches on front of them, which is actually the perfect distance from your face to your breast. So when baby's breastfeeding, they're getting to know you, they're looking up at you, smiling at them. It's a really lovely way to allow baby to really get to know you. So it really helps baby bond with mum. Immunities. So when you breastfeed your baby, your immunities pass through to baby's system. Okay, so let's look at this one for a moment. So say, for example, you are immune to chickenpox, okay? And say your baby was exposed to chickenpox when they were, let's say, 2 weeks old. If you were to call me an emergency room to let me know that your baby has been exposed to chickenpox and they are only 2 weeks old and you were worried, probably the two big questions I'm going to ask you are you breastfeeding baby? And are you immune to chickenpox? And if you answer yes and yes, that's going to reassure me that the likelihood is that your baby actually won't catch chickenpox from that person they were exposed to. But I will, of course, run through the signs and symptoms of what to do just in case. But that just goes to show how powerful the immunities are. So let's just park chickenpox, but imagine all the other things that you're immune to, and it's the same concept, okay? So while baby's breastfeeding, so for the duration of the breastfeeding journey, they have your immune system in their system. So their immune system is the equivalent of yours, keeping them, healthy and well and protecting them from viruses and infections that you yourself are exposed to. Once you finish up with the breastfeeding, so whenever the time is right for you, you decide to finish breastfeeding, your immune system will taper from babies, over the next kind of 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, so this isn't immunity for life for baby, but it does get baby off to a really, really good start for as long as you decide to breastfeed. Next up is better mouth and teeth formation. So breastfeeding babies, they use many more muscles in their mouth and their jaw to breastfeed than to feed from a bottle. So using all of these muscles in the mouth and the jaw does really put baby at a bit of an advantage when it comes to chewing and babbling and talking, as they move through that first year of their life. Fewer stomach upsets and less likely to suffer with constipation. So why do we get a stomach upset? Usually it's something we ate. So if you think about breast milk, it's completely sterile. It's coming from mom to baby. So the likelihood is baby won't get any tummy upsets because that milk is so sterile. It's not going to give them an upset tummy. Constipation, so breast milk is designed, it's human milk designed for human babies. So it's very, very easy for them to break down. It's very unlikely a breastfed baby would suffer with constipation. Higher IQ due to good brain development in early life. And the reason for that is all those good fats in the breast milk. So what do we take to help us with our baby brain? What do we take when we're feeling a bit forgetful? We usually take omegas, don't we? And that's because we know good fats are brain food. So if your baby is breastfeeding, he or she is being exposed to all those lovely good fats in the breast milk, and that's really feeding their brain, especially in that kind of first year or two when they're learning so many new things. In that first year, they're learning how to smile, they're learning how to roll, they're learning how to pick things up and pass them from one hand to the other. And if their brain is being fed with all of these good fats, that can really, really support that learning. Reduces the risk of childhood cancers. So there is a component in breast milk called Hamlet, Hamlet, like the play, okay? And Hamlet, the role of Hamlet is to seek out abnormal cells and destroy them. And what is cancer? It's an accumulation or buildup of abnormal cells. So breastfeeding does reduce that risk of childhood cancer. It's less likely to trigger allergies like asthma and eczema. So there's a really small percentage of babies, it's about 5% of babies that have cow's milk protein allergy. And generally those babies, when they drink formula, their allergy presents as asthma or eczema symptoms. But there's no percentage of babies that have a human milk protein allergy. So breastfeeding will typically not result in any of these early symptoms of asthma or eczema as a result of the milk that they're drinking. And then finally reduces the incidence of ear infections. And again, you might be wondering why. So when baby breastfeeds, so even if you try this yourself, open up your mouth really wide and do that, okay? And what you notice is you can feel your ear canals really moving. So when baby is breastfeeding with their big wide mouth latched onto the breast, it often drains the ear canals, reducing the risk of ear infections. So buckets of benefits of breastfeeding there. But again, if you have any questions, just ask.